Hello people, welcome to Just Top 10. The doubts of the initiation of World War III sparked in 2020, before coronavirus ravaged the entire globe. Many controversial events took place from previous 3 years, which could have initiated a global conflict. At the start of 2020, Iranian Major General Soleimani was killed in a drone airstrike by the United States. Additionally, Iran is an anti-Israel state. The airstrike and anti-Israeli beliefs were a red flag for World War III initiation. Furthermore, the unsettled dispute of Kashmir has always been viewed as a war hazard between two regional powers in Asia, India and Pakistan. Over the years, America has grown tremendously insecure about China's economic growth and has since feared that China might become a superpower. At the start of 2022, Russia invaded Ukraine at the borders of the Crimean Peninsula. The United States and NATO condemned Russia's behavior, and Russia-Ukraine war is still in progress. All these conflicts combined could lead to a full-blown war. From escalating tensions in the East Mediterranean region to the South China Sea, and from historical conflicts in the Eurasian region to border disputes up in the Himalayas, we bring you a list of 10 possible conflicts which can spiral out of control and trigger a potential world war. Without making you wait further, let's start our video. Top 10 Ongoing Conflicts that can potentially trigger World War III. On number 10, conflict between Armenia and Azerbaijan. Since long, the two former Soviet republics have been locked in a conflict over Azerbaijan's breakaway, the ethnic disputed region of Nagorno-Karabakh, and 7 surrounding districts. However, in July's attack by the Armenian army on Tovuz district of Azerbaijan changed the scale of the entire scenario, with both sides suffering losses, especially Azerbaijan, who also lost their major general, which further escalated the tensions. Tensions have been so high that Russia had to intervene, as President Vladimir Putin called on both the nations to abide by the ceasefire, which was first signed in 1994, and provided 2 decades of relative stability. However, with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan deciding to side with Azerbaijan and holding joint military drills with the nation, and Armenia has not held back. The recent acquisition of S-300 missiles by Armenia from Moscow suggests that things were to escalate between Yerevan and Baku. A whole host of countries could be involved, including Russia and Turkey, a NATO nation, which could further escalate matters. On number 9, conflict between North Korea and USA. In 1950, North Korea forced its troops into Seoul, South Korea, to unite the Korean nation under the banner of communism. However, America did not appreciate the ideology of communism and decided to take hold of the situation. America got involved in the Korean War by sending military aid to South Korea to prevent communism from spreading. Since then, there has been hostile relationship between America and North Korea. In 2012, North Korea successfully launched its first intercontinental missile. America condemned the act as it was believed that Korea tested the ballistic range of its nuclear weapon to reach the west coast of America. In the Trump era, North Korea was told to disarm its nuclear weapon. However, the North Korean President Kim declined because he firmly believed weapons were the only way to guarantee that the United States would not invade North Korea, as the United States did with other countries including Libya, Iraq, and Afghanistan. North Korea views nuclear weapon as its great deterrent. On number 8, conflict between Turkey and Greece. The two East Mediterranean neighbors have been at loggerheads over a wide range of issues, including the overlapping claims over the hydrocarbon resources in the region, mapped out by contradictory claims over territories. While France and Germany had earlier intervened to calm tensions, France's reported deal to supply 18 Dassault-made Rafale fighter jets to Athens hasn't gone down well with Turkey. Ankara has even issued threats to shoot down UAE fighter jets, who carried out joint military drills with Greece. Greece, which is backed by the majority of European Union nations, Egypt and the UAE, has continued to stamp its authority, stating that its possession of numerous islands gives it sovereignty over the disputed waters. However, Turkey has refused to budge. Both nations are now beefing up their naval and air forces, with Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan's accusation against European nations for using Greece as bait to descend on the riches of the Mediterranean. Ankara has sent out warships along with a vessel to do seismic surveys in the area, hinting that it will not tolerate other nations coming to the rescue of Greece without a certain price to pay. This conflict could see an unforeseen clash between NATO countries. On number 7, conflict between China and USA. The world's largest economies are locked in a Cold War. China has boosted its economy over 30 years, and it is believed that in the coming years, China can become a superpower. America fears the possibility of China becoming a superpower, which has given rise to restrained relationships between the two nations. During the Trump era, many Americans blamed China for unfair trading practices and theft of intellectual property. China and America imposed a tariff of $1 billion on each other's trading goods, leading to what some people call a new Cold War. Additionally, America's friendliness with Taiwan bothers Chinese leaders. All these factors combined are believed to add fuel to the fire and cause an outbreak of a global war. On number 6, conflict between India and China. There has been an unforeseen upsurge in tensions between the two nations ever since June's Galwan Valley clash in eastern Ladakh, which claimed the lives of 20 Indian and an unspecified number on the Chinese side. Prime Minister Narendra Modi has shown his resolve by expanding a ban on 118 Chinese mobile apps to counter its massive presence in internet services. The move was followed by stricter norms for investments. Such decisions have been strongly opposed by China. Now, despite both the nations signing on a 5-point consensus involving disengagement of the troops, they have continued to beef up their defenses along the border, with India reportedly deploying the newly inducted Rafale jets against China's missile defense systems at the border, hinting that neither of the two countries are ready to let their guard down, just not yet. A possible confrontation between India and China will certainly see the United States providing both overt and covert assistance to New Delhi. However, both the nations, India and China, are nuclear powers, with one of the largest military powers on the planet, and a full-scale clash between two economic and military giants could plunge the global economy into a point of no return. On number 5, conflict between Russia and NATO. Since tensions between Kyiv and Moscow started to rise, people have wondered whether the conflict could escalate to a general fight between Russia and NATO. Ukraine is not part of NATO, and the military alliance is not obligated to come to its defense. In accord with leaders of most of the largest NATO allies, President Biden has made clear that he sees no circumstances in which United States troops would find themselves fighting on Ukrainian soil. Leaders are clearly sensitive to the danger of World War III and keen to avoid it. And yet, while accidental wars are rare, they do happen. Biden reacted after Russia accused Ukraine and the United States of developing biological and chemical weapons, in what Western nations says is a ruse to lay the ground for Moscow's own possible use of them in the conflict. I'm not going to speak about the intelligence, but Russia would pay a severe price if they used chemicals, Biden said as he announced a raft of new sanctions against Moscow. At the request of Russia, the United Nations Security Council is holding an emergency meeting on Friday about the alleged manufacture of biological weapons in Ukraine. Biden also moved Friday to end normal trade relations with Russia, further ratcheting up pressure on President Vladimir Putin after the bloody invasion of Ukraine. The United States, like other Western nations, is sending millions of dollars of weapons, such as anti-aircraft and anti-tank missiles, to Ukraine, as well as sharing intelligence. But Biden again underlined that U.S. forces would not fight in Ukraine, despite the desperate pleas of many Ukrainians. We will not fight a war against Russia in Ukraine. Direct confrontation between NATO and Russia is World War III, something we must strive to prevent, Biden said. In 2018, Moscow accused the United States of secretly conducting biological weapons experiments in a laboratory in Georgia, another former Soviet republic that, like Ukraine, has ambitions to join NATO and the European Union. On number 4, conflict between China and Taiwan. Not much has changed over China's role of being an extreme aggressor as it continues to fight battles across many fronts. One prominent long-going saga has been its clash with Taiwan, which Beijing considers a renegade province. Taiwan is considered by China as part of its own region, and Beijing has left no stone unturned to diplomatically isolate the island by pressurizing many countries to change their allegiances to China. However, what makes it messier is that the United States has continued to remain the island nation's main ally and military supplier, despite repeated warnings from Beijing of its eventual takeover. With a recent F-16 Viper jets deal worth $62 billion, the United States has made Taiwan's F-16 fleet to be the largest in Asia, subtly hinting that China had invasion plans over the island nations. The Trump administration would not think twice in joining hands with Taipei against President Xi Jinping. Of late, China has repeatedly intruded Taiwan air defense zone while conducting air drills off the island nation's southwestern coast, with the Chinese Su-30s and J-10s intruding the Air Defense Identification Zone, ADIZ. Taiwanese Foreign Ministry, while labeling the acts as a threat against the country and its regional peace, issued a warning to Beijing that Taiwan does not seek confrontation, but neither will it back down. With the United States vehemently backing Taiwan, China has not dared to invade the island nation so far, despite claiming that its merger with the mainland is inevitable, which will be done with force if required. If Beijing does dare to cross the line, China and the United States, the world's two biggest superpowers, will get involved in a direct conflict, which is bound to involve NATO nations on the US side and Russia on the Chinese side. On number 3, conflict between India and Pakistan. Kashmir has been a sensitive issue for both the nations, with the conflicted region being at the back end of violence and heightened militant activity, leading to two nuclear-powered nations to fight a battle that seems never-ending. Ever since Prime Minister Narendra Modi withdrew the autonomy of the Jammu and Kashmir and split it into two federally administered territories, tensions have only risen further. What complicates it further is Islamabad's backing by China, which continues to strengthen the military of Pakistan in order to force New Delhi to divide its resources in fighting each of its borders. On September 3, Pakistan's move to list two Indian nationals as global terrorists was blocked by 5 UNSC members: US, UK, France, Germany, and Belgium. New Delhi suggests that through this move, Islamabad is trying to hit back, following India's successful appeal for the designation of Jaish-e-Mohammed Chief Masood Azhar as a global terrorist under the UNSC 1267 Sanctions Committee last year. Jaish-e-Mohammed was the same group which carried out an attack on a convoy of Indian paramilitary forces in Indian-administered Kashmir, killing at least 40 soldiers, the deadliest attack in Kashmir in 3 decades. New Delhi is also spearheading the appeal for Pakistan to be blacklisted under the Global Terror Financing Watchdog's Financial Action Task Force, FATF, the implications of which will be disastrous for the economy and credibility of Pakistan. Now, with Beijing continuing to back its iron brother, Pakistan, and vice versa, it could mean a two-sided war for New Delhi. And India has the staunch backing of the United States, Russia, and France, which makes the situation very complicated. No one knows what will happen if India faces a two-front war against China and Pakistan, but one thing is for sure, it will be calamitous for the world, since all three nations are nuclear powers. On number 2, conflict between Russia and Ukraine. It's been 2 weeks since Russian forces invaded Ukraine, and the consequences keep piling up, both in the region and across the world. So far, the war has resulted in hundreds of civilian deaths and injuries, regular shelling of major cities, and intense firefights between Russian soldiers and Ukrainian defense forces, which have seen an influx of civilian volunteers. More than 2 million people have fled Ukraine, with refugees entering neighboring countries in a growing humanitarian crisis. Russian President Vladimir Putin has claimed Russia's goal is the demilitarization of Ukraine, but there is little evidence to support any claims of aggression on Ukraine's part. Most experts believe Russia's end goal likely involves removing Ukraine's current pro-Western democratic government, led by President Volodymyr Zelensky, and installing a pro-Russian regime in its place. The U.S. and its allies in the North Atlantic Treaty Organization, NATO, have condemned Russia's invasion, with President Joe Biden calling the war unjustified. Multiple countries, including the United States, have imposed a wide range of unprecedented and severe economic sanctions on Russia over the war, and they're likely not done yet. United States officials have hinted that more sanctions could still be in the works. The rapidly unfolding situation has prompted some common questions. What will the war's economic effects mean for you? Will it ultimately lead to World War III? And, relatedly, how might it all end? On top 1, conflict between Iran and Israel. Iran and Israel have had an escalation in tensions ever since the U.S. decision in 2018 to unilaterally pull out of the 2015's Joint Comprehensive Plan of Action, even before the possibility of a potential clash between two Middle East nations remained extremely high. Moreover, the recent United Nations Security Council's rejection of its draft resolution to extend the arms embargo indefinitely against Iran, a decision which was supported by the likes of Russia and China, has further angered the United States. It has left Israel to believe that Tehran, who according to them advocates their destruction, will now be looking to acquire a host of modern weaponry from the likes of Moscow, mostly in the form of S-400 missile defense systems and latest fighter jets like the Su-30s or Su-57s. The Trump administration is keeping a global squeeze on the Islamic Republic by targeting nations engaged in illegal trade with Iran, with U.S. Ambassador to the United Nations, Kelly Craft, stating, "The United States must keep the pressure on the regime in Tehran as long as it creates conflict, chaos, and human suffering, endangering millions of innocent men, women, and children in Syria, Yemen, Lebanon, Iraq, and other parts of the Middle East cannot be tolerated. Cutting off revenue to the world's #1 sponsor of terror will save lives." Now, with the U.S. continuing to hold multiple military exercises with Israel, who they have armed with their state-of-the-art stealth F-35 fighter jets, there is a very high probability that Israel, with the American support, could plan preemptive strikes on Iranian nuclear facilities or military installations, especially if Tehran acquires latest Russian hardware or gets close to developing a nuclear bomb. Iran, as it has been claiming, is bound to strike Israel and U.S. bases in the Middle East. Its missiles are also capable to reach most parts of Europe, thus endangering key NATO nations, including the UK. With Russia and China staunchly on its side, analysts believe that an attack on Iran could potentially trigger a world war, and that is the reason even the mighty US is treading cautiously on the Iranian matter. Thank you guys for watching this video.
We hope you liked this video. If you want to suggest us any topic, please comment below in comment box.
Don't forget to subscribe our channel and press the bell icon.
Take care of yourselves, friends and family members. Bye for now.
Adios amigos.